Welcome to LinesToGo installation videos. Today we will be removing and installing brake lines on a 2007 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD with LinesToGo part number BLC-200SS for the front and BLC-201SS for the rear axle lines. While this particular installation is on a 2007 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD, this set of lines will also work on the following year, make, and models as shown on your screen now. LinesToGo lines are made using original equipment end forms and fittings that are CNC bent for an easy and precise installation. We have also upgraded to stainless steel braided Teflon hoses for rust protection and to prevent surface fouling. These have an unlimited shelf life and anti-static PTFE liner. This set of LinesToGo lines are made from 304L stainless steel for rust resistance that exceeds OEM standards. Tech tip: disconnect the battery before working on a vehicle to reduce the risk of shorting out the battery on tools or lines. LinesToGo lines are made with a sectional design for easier installation. We also use color-coded unions on our sectioned lines. Just match the colors of the connections. Tools required are a drain pan, 10mm, 13mm, and 14mm wrenches, 7, 10, 15, 18, and 22mm sockets and ratchet, a flat blade screwdriver, disconnect tool part number 3145-01 and 5230-01, a floor jack and jack stands. The level of difficulty for this installation is considered to be easy. Start by disconnecting both batteries using a 10mm socket. Using a 13mm wrench, remove both fittings at the master cylinder. Using a 22mm socket, remove all 4 wheels. Using a 10mm and a 7mm socket, remove the bolts securing both front inner fenders. Using a flat blade screwdriver, remove the plastic clips in the inner fenders and remove the fenders from the vehicle. Using a flat blade screwdriver, remove the brake lines from the plastic brackets located along the driver's side frame. Using a 13mm wrench, remove the threaded fitting at the left front flex line. Using a 13mm wrench, remove all 5 threaded fittings located at the top of the ABS module. Remove the primary and secondary lines from the vehicle. Remove the left front line from the vehicle. Using a pair of cutting pliers, cut the right front line at the left front flex line. Remove the rear section of the right front line from the vehicle. Using a 13mm wrench, remove the threaded fitting at the right front flex line. Using a flat blade screwdriver, remove the front section of the front line from the plastic clips. Using a 15mm and 18mm socket, remove the plastic cover at the front of the vehicle. Remove the right front line from the clips and remove the line from the vehicle. Release the 2 quick connect fittings at the top of the fuel cooler using the LinesToGo disconnect tool. Part number 5230-01. Using a 13mm socket, remove the bolt at the bottom of the fuel cooler furthest from the frame, and also remove the bolt located at the frame. Remove the fuel cooler from the vehicle. Using the LinesToGo disconnect tool, remove the return line quick connect fitting located in front of the fuel tank. You can now remove the line that goes between the return line on the fuel tank and the outlet of the fuel cooler. Disconnect the plastic brackets from the line and remove it from the vehicle. Using the LinesToGo disconnect tool, part number 3145-01, remove the feed line quick connect fitting located in front of the fuel tank. Using a 7mm socket, remove the 3 bolts securing the filler neck. Using a 10mm wrench, remove the bolt holding the ground strap. Using a flat screwdriver, open the plastic clip holding the rear differential vent tube. Support the fuel tank and use a 15mm socket to remove the 2 bolts securing the fuel tank straps and remove the straps from the vehicle. Lower the fuel tank while guiding the filler neck over the frame. Once the tank is low enough, remove the electrical connector on the sending unit. A pick or flat screwdriver can be used to remove the safety clip on the electrical connector. Continue to lower the fuel tank out of the way. Using a pair of cutting pliers, cut the rear line where the fuel cooler was located. Remove the rear line from the plastic retaining brackets and remove the forward section of the rear line from the vehicle. Using a 13mm wrench, remove the threaded fitting at the rear flex line. Remove the rear section of the rear line from the vehicle. Use a 13mm socket to remove the 2 bolts securing the left rear and right rear axle line. Use a 13mm wrench to remove the threaded fittings located at the left rear flex line and at the left rear flex union. Remove the left rear axle line from the vehicle. Using a 13mm wrench, remove the threaded fittings located at the right rear flex line and at the right rear flex union. Remove the right rear axle line from the vehicle. Begin the installation of your LinesToGo brake lines by installing the rear section of the rear line into place. Start the threaded fitting at the rear flex line by hand. Next, install the front section of the rear line into place and start the fitting into the ABS module and also at the union. Note the LinesToGo color-coded connection for an easier installation. Using a 13mm wrench, tighten the fitting at the rear flex line, the ABS module, and at the threaded union. Raise the fuel tank into place, making sure to feed the filler neck over the frame. Once the tank is high enough, connect the electrical connector. Continue to raise the tank into position. Install the 2 fuel tank straps and tighten using a 15mm socket. Using a 10mm wrench, replace the ground strap. Using a 7mm socket, replace the 3 screws securing the filler neck. Install the 2 quick connect fittings located at the front of the tank. Position the fuel cooler into place and secure it using a 13mm socket to tighten the 2 bolts. Install the 2 quick connect fittings at the top of the fuel cooler. Next, install the forward section of the right front line into place and secure it into the plastic clips. Start the threaded fitting into the right front flex line and tighten using a 13mm wrench. Install the rear section of the right front line into place and start the fitting into the threaded union and at the ABS module. Tighten the fittings using a 13mm wrench. Install the left front line into position and start the threaded fittings into the left front flex line and the ABS module. Tighten both fittings using a 13mm wrench. Next, install the line going to the primary port on the master cylinder into place and start the fitting into the ABS module and tighten using a 13mm wrench. Install the line going to the secondary port on the master cylinder into place and start the fitting into the ABS module and tighten using a 13mm wrench. Start the fittings into the primary and secondary port on the master cylinder by hand and tighten using a 13mm wrench. Install the two plastic retaining brackets located below the master cylinder into place. Position the lines back into the plastic brackets located along the driver's side frame. Install the left rear axle line into place and start the threaded fittings into the left rear flex line and the rear flex union. Remove the metal bracket from the old line and install it onto the new LinesToGo brake line and secure it using a 13mm socket. Tighten the two threaded fittings using a 14mm wrench. Next, install the right rear axle line into place and start the two threaded fittings into the right rear flex line and the rear flex union. Remove the metal bracket from the old line and install it onto the new line and secure it using a 13mm socket. Tighten the two threaded fittings using a 14mm wrench. Using a 10mm wrench, bleed all four wheels, making sure to keep the brake fluid reservoir topped up. Replace the left front inner fender using a 10mm and a 7mm socket. Replace all four wheels using a 22mm socket. Using a 10mm socket, reconnect both batteries. On the passenger side of the engine, locate the fuel filter. To bleed the air out of the fuel system, use a flat blade screwdriver to loosen the plastic bleeder screw and pump the primer bulb until you stop seeing bubbles and there is a steady flow of fuel. Then tighten the bleeder screw, being careful not to strip it as it is only plastic. This concludes the installation of brake lines on a 2007 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD with LinesToGo part number BLC-200SS for the front and BLC-201SS for the rear axle. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or would like to purchase the lines you saw today, please call us at 1-855-781-5992. Email us at info@linestogo.com or check out our website link below. And don't forget to take advantage of our free 2-day shipping. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe button below, and we will see you on our next video.